Hey there YouTube, Wrestling Optimus here, back with another action figure review. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means, time for AEW Dynamite on TNT. On paper, this looks like an average card with nothing groundbreaking scheduled to happen, so we'll have to see if Tony Khan has any tricks up his sleeve. But first, if you're new here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more pro wrestling and action figure content. Now, we're headed into my custom dailies place, so for a recap and review, let's take it over to the action figures. Dynamite opens with an angle from last week's episode of Dark. Kenny Omega promised Matt Sydal a title shot if he could beat him. Then, he cheated and forced Tony Khan to make it right with this match. During his entrance, Omega's fun facts include that he's 2-0 versus Sydal, including a match in Japan, not North Carolina. Don Callis is obnoxious on commentary per usual, insulting Tony Khan specifically for making the match. When JR tries to say that Don works for Tony, he rightfully points out that he works for Impact. Matt Sydal is one of the best flyers on the roster, yet he's generally not considered main event level. Well, somebody should have told him that because he absolutely goes off in this match. It's nice to see Kenny putting over a journeyman wrestler like Sydal, who never got his due. Omega is in control for most of it, with the occasional hope spot. Eventually, he goes for a one-winged angel, but Sydal reverses into a roll-up for one of the greatest last-second kickouts I've ever seen. But Matt can't reverse a second one-winged angel, and Kenny retains. John Silver prepares for his TNT title match by dodging coffin drops that look like trust falls from his Dark Order brothers. Then, Hangman Page reassures him that the guys will be proud of him no matter what. Speaking of Hangman, next up, he takes on Cesar Bononi, the current heavy of Pretty Peter Avalon. The big guy comes across as tough, but lumbering, and he simply can't keep up with Page's speed. A buckshot lariat spells doom for Bononi as Hangman celebrates with a cold one. Lance Archer says he's looked up to Sting his entire life, and without him, there would be no Murder Hawk Monster. But he's been interrupting the icon because this is his time, and he plans on becoming a legend in his own right. In a killer promo, Britt Baker gets offended by her mixed reception and says Thunder Rosa should just be grateful that she was allowed to be part of the history that Britt wrote with her own blood. But instead, Rosa tried to take credit for putting the women's division on the map. Yet everyone's talking about Baker. Now, the dentist wants to raise the profile of another set of initials even higher than AEW, and that's DMD. The Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin are getting some tag team advice from Christian Cage ahead of their six-man match when Frankie Kazarian finds them. He congratulates Christian on signing with AEW, then asks when he plans on actually getting to work. It results in a match next week between the two. Frankie leaves with a jab at Raw and an invitation for Christian to come watch him on Elevation next Monday. The Pinnacle comes out for the aforementioned six-man match represented by FTR and Shawn Spears. It's a relatively quick affair that mostly plays out during a commercial break. FTR takes out the Blondes while Spears hits a C4 on Dante for the win. Tony Schiavone interviews the Pinnacle afterwards. Cash says they're not just a group, they're a family. Dax says the Inner Circle just wanted to entertain, but AEW is for professional wrestling, and if you want to figure out where you stand in this business, come and challenge their family. MJF body shames Jericho some more, then challenges the Inner Circle to come to the ring. Schiavone points out that they're hurt, but Wardlow silences him. Max closes with their new catchphrase, "The Pinnacle is always on top." After last week, Taz clarifies that everything is fine with his team and claims that Brian Cage apologized to the group and Ricky Stark specifically, which seems to be news to Cage. Taz then asks if each member is good. They all claim to be, but Starks and Cage exchange a few dirty looks. QT Marshall excuses his recent behavior as frustration at being labeled Cody's friend. Sure, it has its perks, he gets to work his dream job, but people don't see what he deals with behind the scenes. Worse still, no matter what he achieves, it'll always be seen as handed to him rather than earned. So, he challenges Cody to an exhibition match next week in order to prove himself. Cody comes out with his arm in a sling and reluctantly accepts, but Arn Anderson will be the guest referee. He calls QT his best friend, and because of this, he's going to hold back. For some reason, QT is fine with that, even though it undermines his whole point. The Lucha brothers are joined by their trios partner from AAA, Laredo Kid, as they take on the Young Bucks with Brandon Cutler. Given the competitors, I'm sure you know what kind of match this is. JR puts it best, calling it Human Demolition Derby. In the end, Laredo Kid hits one of the best looking Spanish flies I've ever seen to secure the victory. Strangely, Kenny Omega runs out and clocks Laredo with a microphone. He starts talking about how, when he left New Japan, he could have gone to greener pastures in New York, aka WWE, but he didn't. He came to AEW, not for the company, but for Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. Yet tonight, they chose Brandon Cutler over him, so he's giving them one last chance to give him a too sweet. They refuse, and walk out ashamed. Omega screams at them before turning around into a double super kick from Penta and Phoenix, followed by a double team pile driver. The Good Brothers arrive late as always and help carry a drunk-looking Kenny to the back. Jade Cargill gets a decent video package talking some smack on Red Velvet. I assume that will set up a singles match between them somewhere down the line. We get an interesting commercial for Brandi and Cody's new reality show, Roads to the Top, which is quite clearly a blatant knockoff of Ms. and Mrs. But honestly, I'm here for it. Looks cute. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley cut one of their typical promos. Eddie shows off his broken something, meaning leg, and tells the Good Brothers that this isn't about selling t-shirts in Japan anymore. He doesn't think they understand how seriously they messed up, while Mox asks just how far they're willing to take this. Then, Moxley reluctantly thanks the Bucks for saving him, but says he doesn't want any part of their Bullet Club drama.
He said it! There it is!
Vicky Guerrero joins Nyla Rose as she takes on the beautiful Ty Conti, who's joined on stage by the Dark Order thanks to her friendship with Anna Jay. Ty immediately takes it to the mat where her technical skills help temporarily negate Nyla's strength advantage. During a commercial though, she's distracted by Vicky, allowing the native beast to take control. She rams Conti into a post and mockingly salsa dances over her body. After the break, Ty fights back with a series of vicious strikes, then shockingly wins with the DD Ty. Don't get me wrong, she deserves this push, I'm just surprised it's actually happening. Vicky attacks during the post-match celebration, but when Nyla goes for a beast bomb, Hikaru Shida makes the save. However, she's taken out by the Bunny as Matt Hardy, the Butcher, and the Blade come out. Matt says the recent women's tournament was terrible because the Bunny wasn't even in it. He promises his clients won't be overlooked any longer. This sets up a tag team match next week, playa. Miro, Kip, and Penelope cut dueling promos with Chucky T and Orange Cassidy talking about their Arcade Anarchy match coming up next week. Chuck says Miro looks like Donkey Kong, while the Bulgarian says it's going to be game over. Scorpio Sky seems to suggest that his loss to Darby Allin was part of a larger conspiracy, but as the face of the Revolution, and much like Matt Hardy just a few minutes ago, he won't be held down anymore. It all starts with Mike Sydal this Monday on Elevation. In our main event, John Silver challenges for the TNT Championship. He's joined on stage by the rest of Dark Order, while Darby Allin comes out sans his mentor Sting. He points to the sky in honor of Mr. Brody Lee as the bell sounds. Despite his reputation as a human crash test dummy, Allin shows off his amateur skills at the start. It's not very effective though, against Silver's raw power. Johnny Hungy remains in control through some restaurant-quality picture-in-picture, although he does apparently dislocate his shoulder for real about halfway through. So of course, Darby exploits that for the rest of the match. When Alex Reynolds gets involved, and number 5 eats a tope suicina, Sting finally arrives with bat in hand to even the odds. Still, Darby manages to reverse a top rope suplex into a coffin drop and takes out the Dark Order all by himself. Silver goes to pay tribute to Mr. Brody Lee with a powerbomb, but gets reversed again, this time into a roll-up that costs him the match and the title. However, in a great show of respect, Sting helps pick him up afterwards and Darby gives him a fist bump. That's all ruined though, when the newly dubbed Hardy family attacks everyone. Ty Conti runs out to fight the bunny as Dynamite goes off air with a massive bench clearing brawl. Most of the pro wrestling world is gearing up in one way or another for WrestleMania weekend, which now looks like it's going to engulf an entire week. So it's understandable that AEW would have a relatively weak card. After all, they can't all be must-see events. Still, I had a ton of fun, and I think they did a good job quietly advancing major storylines and building some under-the-radar talent while still putting on excellent TV matches like the opener and the 6-man. At no point did it feel like a filler episode. Not their best effort, but a solid show nonetheless. Alright, that'll do it for AEW Dynamite on TNT. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Thankfully, no one's having a pay-per-view this weekend, so I'm going to try to film that challenge with Brittany. Then, I'll be back with my action figure review of Dynamite next Thursday. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to do all the normal YouTube stuff. Smash the like button, share with any wrestling or action figure fans you may know, subscribe to the channel, and spread the word. You can also talk to me over on Twitter at WrestlingOptimus, or see all my best figure photography over on Instagram at WrestlingOptimus. If you haven't seen my action figure review of WWE Fastlane, you can check that out right here. But until next time, I've been Wrestling Optimus, and I'll catch you later.